Hi, this is Siofra's Magic Alcove, and I'm Siofra Bradigan. We're trying to do a short primer on candle magic. Hopefully this time it will work. This has been the third try. So, first off, candles are probably one of the oldest forms of light that people have had. So candles have been around for a long time, many thousands of years. And candle magic has been around as long as we've had candles because, light was a very important thing. It can represent the sun and energy, the spirit, and send energy out for all sorts of purposes. So, first, I figured I'd go over some of the sizes of candles that you can get and what they're good for. So, these are called spell candles in the place where I got them from. They could just be called little short candles. I don't know. But they're sort of like candle shaped, not like they're more like a taper, but they're small. And they come in a variety of colors. At the moment, I've got black, green, white, and orange. And each one of those could be used for a different purpose. And they don't take as long to burn. So it's a quicker candle spell when it comes to, getting the energy out to where you need it to go. So that's one kind. Some people use small birthday candles, which will work fine if you don't want to write anything on them, because it's really hard to write on a birthday candle. They got all those, yeah, they're too tiny to write on. So I've never actually used birthday candles, but I've heard a lot of people do. Then you have your votive, which is a little bit higher than your tea light. And of course, tea light's another form, which is shorter. Um, and you can write on this. I have white ones, I have black ones. And right now, this time of year, considering the fact that Samhain, Halloween is right around the corner, it's a great time to go to the store and get black candles. I have bought out several of our local stores in the past when I've gone in and gotten all the black candles I could carry, pretty much. So I would have them for use later on. So you've got those. You got the standard package of two tapers that comes in different colors. I've got them in red and black and white at different times. Mostly the white and the red one seems to be easiest for me to find as far as this color goes. And every store has got different color options. I am allergic to scented candles. So when I buy candles, I try to buy unscented candles. Because of that, I don't have as much variety as some people might have that don't have that issue. So then you have your, this is another taper, slightly longer taper than the white one, and individually wrapped so you can not have to open up the package and only use one and have one left over and try and figure out where to keep it. This is a black taper I got probably a few thousands ago, I would say. Then you have your somewhat thicker taper. It's substantial enough that, and you can write on these really well. There's plenty of surface on there to write on. Same with the white candle, but this is even better as far as it goes. And again, you have to figure out what your color associations are for the purpose of what you're trying to do. You can't find the color you think you need, you can use a white candle and it'll sort of be an all-purpose kind of thing. And here's an example of most candles are white inside. You can see through there that the wax on the outside is the colored wax. The wax on the inside is white. And I don't think that matters for candle magic. It's nice if you can find one that's solid all the way through. It just sort of has a nice feel to it. You can get one that is made out of soy wax or beeswax, then it's going to be better for your lungs. So if you're burning a lot of candles, you definitely want to get away from your typical petroleum product candle, which is what these are right here. And then this is our peace candle, which I had taken out for demonstration purposes, and I will take out again later. So when you're trying to decide what kind of magic you can do with candles, there's a huge range there. You can use candles for disconnecting your energy from someone else's. In those cases, black candles are really helpful because they're sort of naturally banishing, distancing, leaving sort of energy to them. Their associations are easy to think of in that way. So if you've been in a long-term relationship and you need to get away from that individual, it's like not working anymore, you've decided that the relationship is over, using a black candle for that purpose is helpful. It's a way of visualizing the relationship into the candle and the connections that you have, because anytime you have a long-term relationship with a person that you're close to, your energetic bodies sort of intertwine. So there's like, lots of, I guess, cords and hooks and whatever else you want to think of as you got your speech patterns, your energy patterns, your interaction patterns, and all that kind of stuff, which is visible for some of us on the other planes. You can actually sometimes see those connections between people. And in a healthy relationship, those are great. That allows for better communication. That's how people can communicate over long distances. My daughter and I have that. We just had an instance of that just the other day where I started watching one TV program, thought she would like it, texted her. She had just started watching it. So it was one of those things. So that was, pretty typical of us, but that's an example of those kinds of energetic connections. And so you can use a black candle to dissipate and dissolve those connections. And of course, anytime you do something magically, you have to follow that up with real world action. So if you're trying to dissolve a relationship, you're not going to want to still live with the person. You're not going to want to be constantly contacting the person, calling them on the phone, checking up on their Facebook account, or what have you. You need to eliminate the physical connections as well as the emotional and energetic connections. Otherwise, they all sort of revert back to pattern, because that has been a long established pattern. So that's one example. So when you're taking a candle to do a specific purpose, and this is the peace candle that we did a couple of years ago at Mabon, and I put that spell up on, it's under spells for Mabon, so you can find it. And when we were doing it with a large group of people, we did the writing on the candle, so you can carve the candle with words. And when I do that, I use my Athame. So I would, take my personal Athame out, decide what it is that I want to carve into the candle, and then carve the words into the candle, whether it's an individual I'm trying to send energy to, or trying to dissipate from, or dissolve energetic connections from. What the purpose of it, peace, harmony, in this particular case, is kind of what we wrote on those candles. And it sort of adds that focus and energy when you're writing it in order to energize your candle and sort of program it for what it is you want it to do. Because, it's just a candle and some wax, and you need to tell it what you want it to do, what you want it to focus on. So if you do the writing, and if you're with a larger group of people, make sure you have something under your candle, because the little bits of candle wax will come out and fall over the floor, which happened at one of the rituals that we did. And the woman whose house it was at was kind of annoyed by one of the participants who was so focused on what he was doing and not paying attention to his environment that he left a mess. So you want to make sure that you have clear instructions if you're having a group activity, and try and think through the potential consequences of people doing things. I hadn't thought of that. I thought everybody would automatically pay attention to their wax. So that was my bad. So anyway, after you have decided that, then you anoint your candle. And in here I have some of my oils that I've used for different purposes. We have a local person who actually made a lot of these oils. I think they just went out of business a little while ago, which is very disappointing because I really like them a lot. Maybe they'll pop up somewhere else and I can find them. But I have like sweetgrass, myrtle wood oil, eucalyptus. So those are plant, like, sort of healing oils. And then I've got lavender, amber, and musk. And of course, I have in the house, I have rose. I didn't bring all of my oils out here. I have a lot of times I buy little essential oils because I see them and I think, maybe I need that. sometime in the future. I don't know when, but I should have that in case. And then I buy them and pick them up. If you can't afford to get the essential oils, or if you're just out of them and there's no local place for you to get them from, then you can use basic extra virgin olive oil. It is an oil that's been used for many thousands of years for all kinds of purposes, and it works really well for anointing a candle. And there are some different ways of anointing a candle. I basically just use my finger dipped in the oil, and I go up and down the candle, back and forth, and get the whole candle covered in the oil when I do that, whatever oil I'm using, whether it's the, you know, the lavender oil like I did for this candle, or whether it's the olive oil or what have you. And for me, the purpose of anointing a candle has to do with sort of making it sacred, making it special, thinking about it in a different way, identifying it as being different from other candles that are out there, owning the candle, kind of like putting my energy into the candle, making that sort of connection. So then there are some people that believe that however you put the oil on determines what energy the candle will do. So if you put the oil this way and only go in one direction, that is to send energy out. And if you put the oil this way coming towards you, that is to stop energy from flowing, I guess. I don't know, because that's not how I do it. But hey, if you do it different, that's fine by me. Everybody does it the way that works for them. So that's the thing about the oil. And then when you're lighting your candle, making sure that you've checked your environment, and fire safety is important. You want to, a lot of candle magic, you want to leave the candle burning and not turn it off in between. Although in some cases you don't have much of a choice. But you want to be sure that whatever way you do it, you're not going to have something like too close to a curtain, too close to a wooden object up above on a shelf, or something that's down below that the candle wax could drip on, that could damage it. I've actually stopped using cloths for my altars and started going with tile because I can get tile in a lot of different colors and sometimes even interesting patterns, and it's a lot simpler to clean wax off if it drips all over the thing. So those are just some housekeeping things. So anyway, once you've lit your candle, there's controversy about whether you should blow your candle out that I've seen. Some people think it's disrespectful to the element of fire to blow your candle flame out because you're using air to dismiss the fire. Makes no sense to me, because however you get rid of fire, you have to use another element to do it. So you're either using air when you blow it out with your breath, or you're using water when you lick your fingers and the flame, or you're using earth to cover it with a snuffer and deprive it of oxygen. So whatever method you use to extinguish your candle, some other element's going to have to be involved. But then some people think that blowing the candle out will actually push the spell through the air. It'll actually release the spell, kind of like with a peace pipe or incense. You're putting your prayers and your wishes and stuff into that, and then as it burns and the smoke rises up to the air, it's going up to the heavens, going to the Great Spirit, going to another dimension, going outward from you and spreading away from you to do its job. So a lot of that depends upon your personal internal mythology and dialogue that you have with the universe and how it works and what feels right and what doesn't feel right. If it doesn't feel right for you, don't do it that way, because magic has to do with you and how you feel. So if something feels wrong when you do it, it's not going to work because you've already decided that there's something wrong with it. So keep that in mind. Let's see. What else did I want to say? Okay, and another way to use candles is as a method to honor something. So like we have a Buddha spirit that we rescued that's here in our temple. And on occasion we will light a candle in a lotus shaped candle holder that we have, and that's just to share energy with the spirit and honor the spirit. So it's a way of acknowledgement and saying, hey, we know you're here, and here's some candle for you. And some people use candles for representing the god and the goddess. So those candles you probably wouldn't be burning down each time you use them. They'd be on your altar, and each time you lit them, you would think about the virtue of that particular candle. Like, this candle represents the goddess, this candle represents the god, and then they would represent that in whatever you were doing. Sort of inviting a presence to come in through the light of the candle. So, let's think. This is the third time we've gone through this. My brain is going a little haywire. But I think that's the basics that I wanted to cover. Like I said in the beginning, it's what works for you that's going to matter. And the associations with the colors, like, well, like this little orange candle here, you could use for making your mind sharp, studying for an exam in school or something like that, something you needed to do that required a lot of focus. That would be my association with orange. And green is often used for healing, sending healing energy to people, or for money spells, because people in the United States at least associate green with the color of money. If you live in another country, you might have different associations. That's just ours, right? And then, of course, white can be used for anything. If you don't have the color you think you need, you can use a basic white candle. So you can go and buy them in a regular store. And like I said earlier, you can pick up your black candles now. I recommend this is the time, because Samhain and Halloween are around the corner, and they're going to show up in the stores. So if you have questions about candle magic, send them in, and we'll see what we can come up with for answering specific questions about it. But as an overview, this is kind of like the bones of how you do magic using a candle, and then the variety and the ability to transform it into whatever it is you need is there once you have the basics. So this has been Siofra Bradigan, and this is Siofra's Magic Alcove. Blessed be.